Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. So today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 10th of July 2023. So today we are going to look into those articles that are important for the prelims and mains exam of UPSC Civil Services. Okay, so let us now see the articles that are important from today's newspaper. Okay, so like I have gone through the entire newspaper and I have selected those articles that are most important from the newspaper. Okay, so I have selected 7 such articles. The first article says, Objections overruled. Forest bill goes to the House unchanged. So in this article we are going to understand about the Forest Conservation Act. Okay, the name of the act is Forest Conservation Act. Like it is 1980. So we are going to talk about the Forest Conservation Act. We are going to understand about meaning of amendment. We are going to understand like what are the suggested amendments that the parliament is going to do into that particular act. We are going to understand various aspects related to it. So this particular topic is related to laws, rules, etc. It is important under polity section, and since it is related to forest, so it is also important under like environment and ecology section. Okay, so this will be important for the prelims exam and also important for the mains exam under GS paper 2 and also GS paper 3, right? So this was there in page number 1. Apart from this, we are going to look into another topic. It says the Anna Bhagya, fiasco and thinking beyond rise. Okay, so in this article we are going to understand about a government scheme that was recently announced by Karnataka government. The name of the scheme is Anna Bhagya scheme, and apart from this we will also understand about various nuances associated with public distribution system. We are going to understand about the public distribution system and various nuances, like we are going to understand about the role of Food Corporation of India. We will understand about the Food Safety Act. Okay, so we do have that Act 2013. We are going to discuss about that. So this topic is important under government scheme section, and also it is an important article for Indian economy section. It was there in page number 6. It is an editorial topic. Apart from this, we are going to discuss about another topic that says restoring the World Trade Organization's crown jewel. Okay, so as you know that World Trade Organization is the largest intergovernmental body, right? Largest intergovernmental body that facilitates trade among different countries, and India is a member of World Trade Organization. We are going to understand various things related to this. This topic is important under international organizations. It is important for the prelims exam, and also it is important for the mains exam for GS paper 2, and also it has relevance for GS paper 3. So we will understand about this topic as well. Then the next topic, which is the fourth topic, here we are going to discuss about what are bad loans. Okay, so it talks about bad loans at record low, but write-offs is still in the mix. Okay, so in this article we will understand about bad loans. We are going to discuss about non-performing assets. We are going to talk about like what different banks have done in this regard, and we will understand about the meaning of write-offs. Okay, so this topic is important under Indian economy section, and I am going to discuss this topic by taking certain graphs, and I will make you understand about them. So this is question this was there in page number 7. Apart from this, we will understand about another topic, which is amend personal laws to ensure gender justice, says activist. Okay, so this topic is very important because in this article we are going to discuss about Uniform Civil Code, okay, UCC, and we will talk about some constitutional provisions related to Uniform Civil Code. We will talk about what various activists look into the UCC part from various, let's say, religious perspectives. So like there are personal religious laws also, like Muslim personal law, Christianity personal law, and how they view the Uniform Civil Code. Okay, apart from this, like we will talk about another topic. It says report highlights impact of pandemic on education. Okay, so we will discuss about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on education. We will discuss in detail, and there was a recently released report, and that analyzes the district wise data, how different districts have performed on like educational front during COVID-19 and just after COVID-19. So like I'm going to discuss about 2 years data in that regard. After that we are going to discuss about another topic. It says Modi's rubble wise rupee foolish policy. Okay, so this topic actually criticizes one of the move of the central government in, let's say, like in doing transaction with Chinese yuan, okay, in Chinese yuan for foreign trade. So we will discuss about that. It is a very important article, very good article from Indian economy section. So with this, let us look into the first topic quickly. So the first topic is objections overruled. Forest bill goes to House unchanged. Okay, so this is the article. So this article was there in the front page, and also like in the 10th page there was some remaining portion of the article. So I have included both, and we have uploaded, right, this particular PDF in the description of the YouTube video. If you want to, let's say, read the entire article yourself, so you can download the PDF and read it from there. However, like in the discussion I am going to explain the topic that has been discussed in the article. I am going to make it simpler for you so that you can understand the newspaper, right? So let us discuss about this topic. It says objections overruled, forest bill goes to House unchanged. Okay, so which bill are we talking about? We are talking about a bill that seeks to amend the Forest Conservation Act 1980. Okay, so the act that we are going to discuss about is Forest Conservation Act 1980. So recently, like this a bill that seeks to amend the Forest Conservation Act was tabled in the Lok Sabha. Okay, and later on, like it was sent for a parliamentary committee review, and the parliamentary committee has reviewed this particular bill, and they have allowed this bill to be tabled, like in both the houses. I mean, like like the proposed amendments may be tabled in the house, and like very soon we may see a amended bill related to the Forest Conservation Act. Now we need to understand what do we mean by amendment. Amendment means making any changes, like if you want to make any changes in the Constitution of India, or some rules or some acts that that are already in place, right? Changes in the nature, let's say we want to add something, we want to delete certain provisions, or we want to modify certain provisions from the Constitution or from certain acts or bills, okay, from certain acts, that is known as amendment. Okay, so now let us understand about some of the things related to this bill. Okay, so the bill that we are going to talk about is, it is a very important bill. So name of the bill is Forest Conservation Act. (1980). Okay, Forest Conservation Act 1980. So we are going to discuss about this particular act, and the the Parliament of India, I mean the government of India has placed a bill. They have placed a bill in the Parliament. Why? They want to amend this particular act. What they want to amend? They want to make certain changes in this particular bill. What changes? What amendment do they want to do? One thing, that this particular bill, it is related to the forest, and in India, like across India, if we talk about India, okay, so I have just tried to draw the map of India roughly. Okay, so this is not the exact map. Okay, so let's say across India, what we have across India, we have forest, right? And in this particular forest Conservation Act, they have defined what is the meaning of forest. They have clearly defined what is the meaning of forest. And apart from this, there are certain areas that are mentioned as deemed forest. Okay, that are mentioned as deemed forest. So this particular bill that seeks to amend the Forest Conservation Act, they want to, let's say allow all those areas that are mentioned as deemed forest for some other purposes, I mean for example tourism purposes, etc. So this is being criticized by many people. And apart from this, like there are certain bordering areas in India, let's say like these are bordering areas, and in these bordering areas this particular amended bill, I mean like this particular bill seeks to do some kind of, let's say, developmental work for development of certain kind of let's say infrastructure along the border line. These infrastructure will also have roads, they will have bridges, and they will have, let's say, army establishments. So for that purpose, like it allows any kind of modification into the bordering areas without, let's say, like any hassle. So they want to modify, what they want to do, they want to modify the bordering forest, okay, they want to modify the I have just written bordering forest. It simply means like they want to modify the forest that lies in the border lines. So this is also being criticized by many parties, okay, they are criticizing about this particular thing. And also it says, this particular amendment, I mean like amendment bill says that they want to change the name of the act itself. So earlier the name of the act was Forest Conservation Act 1980. But now they have proposed that this name of this particular act to be amended. I mean like they want to make this particular act. So I will write the name of the act. It says Ban Sanrakshan Evam. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so they want to amend the name also. Ban Sanrakshan Evam, okay, Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. Okay, so this is the name that they have proposed, that like they want to change the name of Forest Conservation Act, and they want to make it like change the name to Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. Okay, so this is also being criticized by many people, right? And what has the parliamentary committee has allowed this particular bill to be tabled in the parliament, and after it is tabled, it may get passed by both the houses. So this particular article talks about the Forest Conservation Act, and this Forest Conservation Act gives rights to the forest dwellers also, at the same time it seeks to protect the forest. And why it is being criticized, the people are saying certain other things also related to the Forest Conservation Act. What they are saying, that they are saying that the government of India has adopted a target of 2070. Why they have adopted a target? To go for net zero carbon emission. Okay, so we want to achieve net zero carbon emission by the year 2070. But to achieve that target, we need to go for reforestation, we need to go for plantation. And what this particular amended act seeks to do, the critics are pointing out that this particular amended act seeks to, okay, they seek to, let's say allow the forests, forest areas to be used for non-forest purposes like tourism, etc. And also they point out that bordering areas, bordering forest will be cleared if this bill is allowed to be, let's say, passed through the parliament. Okay, so the people are also pointing out that we will be missing the net zero target of 2070 if we allow this particular bill to be passed through the parliament. So this is all in this in this article that they have talked about, and this is important, this is important under GS paper 3 and GS paper 2. GS paper 2 under government policies and interventions. Okay, and like this. So GS paper 3 environment and ecology section. So this topic is important. With this, we are going to talk about another topic. Let's discuss about the next topic. So this is a detailed in-depth article. So this was there in editorial section, page 6 of the Hindu newspaper. So we are going to discuss about this thing. So this article, it says the Anna Bhagya, okay, Anna Bhagya fiasco and thinking beyond rice, okay. So basically this author, she is a professor of economics at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and she has given her point of view related to some of the economic decisions that have been taken by state government and the central government. For example, if I talk about the state government of Karnataka, okay, so Karnataka state government, while the polling, while the election was going on in the state of Karnataka, before that many parties have like in their manifesto promised so many things to the voters, and one of the promises that was made by the government of Karnataka, like state government of Karnataka, is that they want to give additional 5 kilogram of rice, okay, they want to give additional 5 kilogram of rice to the people of Karnataka, okay. So that was one of the policy that was promised by the government of Karnataka, and this particular additional 5 kilogram of rice is named as Anna Bhagya, okay, scheme. So let's discuss about this thing quickly. So name of the article that we are discussing now, it's Anna Bhagya fiasco and thinking beyond rice. So what is this scheme all about? This is a food grain scheme, okay. So why? So that they can achieve food security in the state, and this is a state government policy, okay, this is a state government policy. And which state government has proposed this scheme? It is proposed by Karnataka government, okay, the government of Karnataka. And what they have proposed? They have proposed to give additional, okay, additional, why additional? I'll discuss about this thing also. Additional 5 kilogram of rice, okay, 5 kilogram of rice per BPL household, okay, per BPL household in the state per month, okay, in the state per month. So they want to give additional 5 kilogram of rice to the state. So this is an important thing that we need to note. However, this seems to be a very good policy. Why good policy? Because it is going to take care of those people who cannot afford to buy rice, okay, who cannot afford to, let's say, purchase food. So BPL households are going to be benefited through this particular scheme. However, the author has highlighted that this scheme has certain flaws, okay. Not only this scheme has flaws, but also the author has given her viewpoint, like how this scheme can be improved, right? So the author says that the government already has a public distribution system, okay. We do have a public distribution system, and through that public distribution system, what government does? Government actually gives food grains that includes rice and other things also, food grains to beneficiaries, okay, beneficiaries under National Food Security Act, okay, National Food Security Act 2013 beneficiaries, okay. So we do have an act, name of the act is National Food Security Act 2013. So what the central government is doing, the central government, under the, public distribution system, they have a public distribution system, it includes chain of network, right? So through that, the government of India gives, let's say, food grains to the beneficiaries, and these beneficiaries are selected under National Food Security Act 2013. But the food grain that is given by the government, that is also about 5 kilogram, okay, 5 kilogram of rice, let's say 5 kilogram of rice and other things per month, okay, it is also given per month basis. However, this PDS scheme, if we talk about the food grain distribution scheme of the central government, this also has certain flaws. What flaws does it have? It has the flaw that the data that it considers for distribution of food grain it is taken from the census of 2011. Okay, census means like a kind of exercise through which like we find out the population of a country, right? So the data that the central government takes, it is from the census 2011 data. Okay, census 2011 data. But if you talk about present day, so we are in 2023. Now the population of India has gone up. What has happened? The population of India has gone significantly up, and many people like who do not have their name in that particular census, right, they are not included, right? So census, so the census data has changed, and the author is suggesting that the central government is using this particular thing, I mean like they are willfully using this particular thing to bypass, I mean like giving benefit to those real beneficiaries who should be getting beneficiaries. Okay, so means like if our next census would have been conducted by now, the government may have to include the newer beneficiaries also. So the author is pointing out that like around 11 million people, okay, there are around 11 million people like who are not yet included in the PDS scheme, public distribution, public distribution networks, right? They have not been included. Why? Because of lack of recent data, And apart from this, the author says that like for food grain distribution, the central government has a mechanism, like it has an organization which is known as Food Corporation of India. The Food Corporation of India procures, okay, it procures food, right, from the farmers for three purposes, okay, for three purposes. What are those three purposes? The FCI, like purposes for procuring the food. One of the purpose is like to give guarantees, okay. To give guarantees to the producers, okay, to the producers of food grain, like farmers, that whatever they produce, like whatever food that they produce, for example rice that they produce, it will not go unsold, and the government of India is going to purchase it at minimum support price, okay, it is going to purchase, okay. So this is somehow supporting, the food food grain producers like farmers. And apart from this, like once it is procured by the Food Corporation of India, what they will do, they will use this particular food grain, like the food grains that they procure, they will use like the central government use it to distribute among the beneficiaries through public distribution system, okay, PDS network, public distribution system network. Means the procured food will be distributed to the beneficiaries through PDS network, and it is to under National Food Security Act 2013, okay. So we do have a National Food Security Act 2013, and under which what we want to do, we want to like distribute food grains to the poor people so that like they can afford to have food grain for them. And also apart from this, whatever is left over, whatever is remained, so like they want to sell it also under open market selling scheme. Like there is a scheme of the central government which is like open where the Food Corporation of India sells the remaining food grain, so that like if they keep the food grain for long time under storage, it is going to get spoiled. What it is going to get? It is going to get spoiled, and they may have to throw it out. So it is better that the central government sells it through open market scheme, okay, open market selling scheme like that. So it will be sold by the Food Corporation of India. And what the Karnataka government has done, like although it has promised the voters, the Karnataka voters, that like we want to give additional 5 kg of rice per month to the beneficiaries, to the BPL households. So they want to procure the food grain from the Food Corporation of India under open market selling scheme, okay. So they want to procure from here. For which program? The name of the program I have already written. Name of the program is Anna Bhagya scheme, okay. Under Anya, so they want to procure from open market selling scheme, they want to procure the Karnataka government, okay, and they want to support this scheme, Anna Bhagya scheme. Anna Bhagya scheme. They want to give food grain to the people. But apart from this, what the author has said that this open market selling system, I mean through this system, the Food Corporation of India does three purposes that I have already told to you. But now the central government has denied, right, selling the food grain to the state governments through the open market selling scheme. Why it has denied? The central government has also given certain points, and the author feels that these points that were given by the central government, some of these points are not valid. Okay, which points are not valid? One of the points that the central government has given, that it claims that the open market selling scheme can perform its price stabilization role better if the grain is released through the market rather than through the PDS. I mean so this was the purpose. So now the central government says that if we sell it to the state government, I mean there are two channels for the central government to release the food grain. One is sell it through the states. Sell it through the states under open market selling scheme. Let's say, just 1 minute, I'll make it clear. So Food Corporation of India performs these three activities. So it goes for open market selling scheme for those food grain that are left over, okay, that are remaining, that they have with them in stock. Okay, let's say they have in stock. Now what the central government will do, so that this amount of food grain, these amount of food grain do not perish. For that it has two routes. One is through open market selling scheme, it can sell it to the, let's say, state governments. Okay, state governments, so that state governments can procure it to meet their, let's say, state governments policies. Various state governments have their own policies to support, right, to support their people. Right, for example, Karnataka's government has proposed Anna Bhagya scheme, where they want to give 5 kilogram of rice, every month to the beneficiaries. And other route, for open market selling scheme is the government can directly sell it in the market, okay, not to any specific government. Okay. Now the central government has, has proposed that it is going to sell it in the open market, not to the state government, because they are going to get more price in the open market. Okay, so this is the thing. However, this author is pointing out that this particular, let's say, notion of the central government is not valid, because ultimately the food grain has to go to the beneficiaries. Even if they give it through the state government, so that is not going to be a wrong step by the central government. Okay, so state governments can also procure from it. And apart from this, it says that the Anna Bhagya scheme that the state government has proposed, so Anna Bhagya scheme also is a short-sightedness of the state government, because instead of it, they could have included those beneficiaries, those people who are not part of the PDS scheme. For example, I already discussed that the central government distributes food, right, to the people through the Food Corporation of India and through the public distribution network, right, to the final beneficiaries. However, the data of the beneficiaries comes from 2011 census. They do not have updated data. What the state government could have done, what the, Karnataka government could have done, they could have included those leftover people in their state. And the author estimates in this article that there are around 1.1 million people in the state of Karnataka itself who are not in the list of beneficiaries under PDS scheme. So the author suggests that those users could be included among the beneficiaries through the Anna Bhagya scheme. So in this article, what we have learned about 2-3 things. One is this Anna Bhagya scheme, which is a state government scheme to give benefit to the underprivileged people or below poverty line people through distribution of rice. So this we have understood. Here also the author says that the Karnataka government should not only include rice, they should also think beyond rice. They can think of giving, let's say, pulse seeds. They can think of giving oil to the people along with rice, wheat and paddy, other things as well. Okay, so this is the thing. So this article is a very nicely written article on public distribution system and on Anna Bhagya scheme of the state government, and it also talks about the role of Food Corporation of India. It discusses about the let's say National Food Security Act 2013, okay, like that. So with this, like, we will move to the next topic now. Now, this is another article. Okay, it says restoring the World Trade Organization's crown jewel. Okay, so you know that as you know that the World Trade Organization is an intergovernmental organization. It means, so we will discuss about this article, just a minute. So this is topic number 3 that we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss the World Trade Organization. Okay, so the World Trade Organization is an intergovernmental organization. Intergovernmental organization, and it is a trade facilitating body. Okay, it is also sometimes referred as trade body. Okay, trade body or trade facilitating body, because this is the only intergovernmental organization that facilitates trade among its member countries, and like, you know, they do not allow restriction in trade. I mean, like, you know, they facilitate trade in such a manner so that it is let's say there is equity among the nations also. Okay, so this particular body has been established in 1995, and India is a member of this particular body. There are currently, I guess, 162 or 64 members, 162, 63 members. You need to check the membership of the World Trade Organization. And in this article, we are going to discuss about an important part of the World Trade Organization, which is also known as the crown jewel. Okay, the crown jewel of the World Trade Organization. What is known as the crown jewel? It is the dispute settlement body of the World Trade Organization. Okay, so we have understood the role of the World Trade Organization, but like, it has many member countries. Since we have discussed that World Trade Organization has many member countries, and these member countries you know, sometimes come up with dispute, right? They do have dispute with one another, and that dispute, okay, that dispute is resolved through a channel, and for that the World Trade Organization has dispute settlement understanding, which is known as DSU, dispute settlement understanding. And then this particular thing has a dispute settlement system. The dispute settlement system has two things: dispute settlement body, and then it has like, you know, appellate tribunal. Okay, appellate tribunal, like that. Okay, so this works at level 1, this works at level 2. Okay, the World Trade Organization has a mechanism to resolve the dispute among the member countries, right? If a member country has certain dispute, they have certain dispute against another member, so they can, let's say, like, you know, officially file that dispute with the dispute settlement body of the World Trade Organization. And it has a appellate tribunal also. Appellate tribunal means, like, appellate tribunal works at a higher level. Okay, it works at a higher level. So this is a higher level body. The dispute settlement body, I mean, like, it looks into the, let's say, laws related legal aspects, and it also looks into technical aspects. It looks into legal and technical aspects. But if I talk about appellate tribunal, the appellate tribunal you know, looks into the legal aspects only. Okay, legal aspects of, let's say, any decision that was taken by the dispute settlement body. It only looks into legal aspects. And this appellate tribunal is one of the most important body of the World Trade Organization. And what has happened, like, you know, it has membership, and like, you know, some of the member comes from United States of America also. And since long, since 2019, right, the United States of America has not appointed, they have not appointed a member, okay, they have not appointed a member into the appellate tribunal, okay, into the appellate tribunal. Since they have not appointed a member into the appellate tribunal, so like, it does not have sufficient number of judges to, meet the quorum requirement. So it does have a requirement which is known as quorum requirement. Quorum means the minimum number of judges, minimum number of persons who should sit to decide a matter. And since United States of America is not appointing a member, right, appointing members in the appellate tribunal, so like, this particular dispute settlement body's appellate tribunal, like appellate tribunal does not have sufficient number of members to meet the quorum requirements, and that's why many of the decisions are pending with this body. And United States of America is doing it willfully. They are willfully not appointing a body, appointing members to the appellate tribunal. Why? Because they want to delay the decisions that are taken by appellate tribunal. Why do they want to do it? So for this, like, we are going to understand this thing. So this article mentions, like, de-judicialization of trade multilateralism, okay. So we will discuss about that particular concept. Let's understand a concept related to WTO. We are discussing the article, article related to World Trade Organization. The concept is de-judicialization. We are going to discuss about de-judicialization. To understand the meaning of de-judicialization, we need to understand the meaning of judicialization first. Okay, let's understand the meaning of judicialization. First of all, let's say, like, there is an intergovernmental body like World Trade Organization. It has many members, like it includes USA, it includes, let's say, like China, it includes India. They have, like, many members, 160 plus members as of now. So WTO has. So a member who joins the World Trade Organization, they not only get the benefit of being a member, but also, like, they do have certain responsibilities and obligations towards the World Trade Organization and towards its fellow members, responsibilities and duties. And those responsibilities and duties sometimes come in the nature of, like, allowing the World Trade Organization to take certain kind of decisions on behalf of all the members, okay. So they take some decisions on behalf of the members, and these decisions come in the nature of, let's say, while ratification, let's say, like, this has an agreement, that agreement is signed by those countries that want to become a member. So while they sign those agreements, they also allow this particular body, like, similar body, to take certain decisions, like, in the body. So what it does, it gives, like, judicial authority, some kind of judicial authority in international law, right? Judicial authority in the sense, like, since it is a trade facilitating body, it will ask the member countries not to discriminate goods that are coming from some other country. Means, like, it has to give most favored nation status, let's say, like, similar kind of thing. There are many concepts related to this. Like, for example, one of the concept is national treatment. One of the concept is, I'll just give you an example through this particular term, national treatment. What do we mean by national treatment? Let's say USA is a country, India is a country. Now, if some goods are being exported from India to United States of America, so if USA was not a member of WTO, it could frame any law, and that law can discriminate those goods that are coming from India. They may say that this good should not be allowed to enter into USA because of so and so reasons, right? So because of a clause of national treatment in WTO provisions, so like USA has to consider the goods that are coming from India at par with the goods that are sold in their country. You understanding? So that's known as national treatment. So whenever a member country joins WTO, so it allows WTO to decide on certain matters. I mean, like to make frameworks on certain matters. So that means judicialization, means like, you know, giving some kind of judicial authority to a, let's say, extra national body. I would say, like, you know, the World Trade Organization. It's a kind of, like, you know, it's an organization, it's not a country, and many countries are member of it, and these members have given up some kind of, let's say, authority to this body. That is known as judicialization. And because of this judicialization, the United States of America started feeling that, like, you know, it now has lesser control on its own trade policy. It does have a trade policy. Now it feels that it has limited control on the trade policy. So that's why the United States of America is, you know, stopping the appointment of its members in the dispute settlement body or appellate tribunal of WTO. Okay, so this is known as dejudicialization, means, like, you know, taking away the authority from the WTO by not nominating member. I mean, like, you know, this is, let's say, a route that they have adopted for themselves, the USA has adopted for themselves. So in this article, the author has, you know, explained about the concept of dejudicialization, why it is doing so. And apart from this, the author also says that, like, you know, this dejudicialization erodes the sovereignty, the judicialization erodes the sovereignty of nations. I mean, like, you know, he also highlights some of the foreign authors who have talked about judicialization and dejudicialization. I mean, judicialization, you know, erodes the sovereignty of the countries in certain aspects, and dejudicialization, like, you know, brings this back. So this dejudicialization should not be confused with exerting political oversight over the appellate body to improve. Okay, so the author has suggested one way, and that way is, like, you know, is to elect the appellate body members by resorting to voting at WTO General Council meeting. I mean, like, you know, so the voting of the members at the dispute settlement body, I mean, like, you know, or appellate body, in voting, USA has a role. Since USA is not appointing a member in voting thing, so, like, the author is suggesting that, like, you know, in WTO's General Council, all the members should sit together and they should vote a person to the appellate body of WTO to settle the dispute. So this particular topic is related to international organization, I mean, like, you know, the World Trade Organization, and it is important for GS paper 2 under IR section. And so I have written the syllabus over here, important international institutions, agencies, fora and their structure, right? Apart from this, it is important for, let's say, trade related aspects, which can be important for GS paper 3 of the mains exam. So with this, let us talk about another topic quickly. This topic is again important, very important. This is important under Indian economy section. Okay, it says like bad loans at record low, but write-offs still in the mix. Okay, so we need to understand what do we mean by bad loans. We need to understand what do we mean by write-offs. We need to understand what do we mean by non-performing assets. We need to understand what is the current scenario related to, let's say, bad loans and write-offs, right? So for this, let us quickly go to the notes again. Okay, so the topic is bad loans at record low. I am not writing the entire topic, bad loans, and we are writing about write-offs. So we will understand about this. Okay, so this article is important under Indian economy section. We will discuss about some of the concepts related to economy. For example, we will understand about non-performing assets. What do we mean by non-performing assets? Let's say, like, you know, there is a bank, name of the bank is, let's say, like, I'm just giving a good example, HDFC. Let's say it's a bank. Okay, so HDFC bank is a private sector bank, all of us know. And if I talk about, let's say, SBI, State Bank of India, it is a public sector bank. Okay, public sector banks are known as PSBs. Private sector banks are written as PVBs. Okay, private sector banks. So if these banks give loans to people, okay, if they extend loans to people and corporations, so these loans Okay, these banks are extending loans to people, corporations, right? And these loans, from these loans, they are going to, let's say, receive like repayment, loan repayment. That includes interest also. Okay, so what they have done, they have given loan to individuals or corporations in huge amount, and they are going to get repaid. Okay, it can be in the nature of EMI, every month installments, and that EMI also includes the interest components. And if these corporations or people are not able to repay the loan, if they are not able to repay the loan, for a period of, let's say, greater than or equal to 90 days, okay, so that turns out as non-performing assets. Non-performing assets. Why it is known as non-performing assets? Because the loans that they give to consumers, they consider it to be asset, because it is going to generate profit for the banks. But if they are not receiving the repayment from the customers along with interest, so it is not, this asset is not performing, so it becomes non-performing asset. So all those loans for which repayment is not coming from the let's say borrowers for 90 days or more, so they are classified by the banks as non-performing assets. So in India, we have a challenge of managing the non-performing assets by public sector banks and private sector banks. Generally, the private sector banks, used to do more due diligence before extending any loan. However, the public sector banks have already given out loans to big corporations in huge amount, bulk amount, and many of those big corporations have defaulted in repayment of their loans. Okay, many big corporations have defaulted, and some of the people have run away, fled away from the country also. They have been classified as fugitive economic offenders. Okay, so they have been classified as fugitive economic offenders. Now in this article we are going to understand that what is the status of non-performing assets in India now, what has been the status in the last few years, right? And how many banks have written off the non-performing assets. Now we need to understand another concept, which is write off or written off. Let's say there is a bank, again, now we will understand this concept of write off. Okay, write off concept. Let's say there is a bank, State Bank of India. It has given loans to corporations, and these loans, these loans has turned NPAs, and it remains NPA for a long time. Okay, it remains NPA for a long time. Now SBI has to show in its balance sheet in every year, because it does have requirement of disclosure, and RBI is monitoring all the banks, right? It is regulating all the banks in India, whether it is private sector bank, public sector bank, scheduled commercial banks, etc. Right? So what RBI is doing, RBI is regulating the banks. So under the norms of RBI, what it has to do, it has to go for disclosures. Okay, RBI along with other bodies, they ask for regular, let's say, audit of the account of different banks also. So since these loans are classified as NPA in their books, so their balance sheet has become bad. Okay, their balance sheet has become bad, and these loans are then classified as bad loans. Okay, so if they remain in the balance sheet, so many people will know that this bank has so much high amount of bad loans. So that's why many of these banks, what they do, they write off these loans. Write off means they give up on these loans. They now write off from their balance sheet, means they give up. They do not want to, let's say, although they may want to get the amount back, but they have realized that it is not going to give any fruit to them, it is not going to give any benefit. So that's why they have classified these loans as bad loans. Okay, they have classified these as bad loans, and sometimes these banks resort to writing off these loans. Okay, so that is known as write off. Now if we talk about this particular article, in this article they have the author has analyzed the status of, let's say, bad loans in India. Okay, so bad loans at record low. It says that as of now the bad loans are record low. We have very low amount of bad loan. However, the write-off means the bad loans are written off by the banks. They are in a mix. It is not record low. Okay, they are in a mix. So in this article, the author has analyzed multiple things through through this. So I will showcase these charts to you. I'm just trying to make it big so that it is visible. Okay. So the author has given multiple charts, chart 1, chart 2, chart 3, chart 4. Through these charts, the author wants to highlight the status of bad loans in India, right? So chart 1 shows that GNPAs and net NPA. GNPA means gross non-performing assets. Then net non-performing assets continued to decline in March 2023, reached 3.9% and 1% respectively, the lowest levels since 2015. Okay, so if we talk about the chart 1 over here, okay, I hope this chart is visible, but I'll just try to make it little big also. Okay, so the screen is lagging little bit. So okay, so screen is hanging, but however, I'll make you understand the concept till it comes back. Here we need to understand about the concepts gross NPA, net NPAs. We have already understood about what is bad loan. We have understood about non-performing assets, right? So we have understood about many of these things already. Now let's see if the screen has come back. Okay. Okay. So it has just hanged over here. So now the author wants to highlight what has been the level of bad loans over the years, right? What has happened to the bad loans over the years. Let me try to bring it back. Okay. So the author wants to highlight what has happened to the status of bad loan, right? Over the years, it says the bad loan has come down. And why the bad loan has come down? The author has given certain points related to it, okay? Why the bad loans have come down. So author has talked about certain reasons for it, okay? Why it has come down, okay? Bad loan has come down. For that, it has given a point that many banks have written off, okay, their bad loans. Second thing is, the government of India has established a body, okay, it has established a body that was going to, let's say settle the bad loans. So you might have heard about the concept of bad banks, okay, bad banks. What the bad banks do, basically they purchase, okay, the bad banks, they purchase the bad loans, okay, they purchase the bad loans from banks. They purchase the bad loans from the banks, means let's say there is a bank A, it has given certain loan to, okay, it has given certain loan to consumers, and those consumers are not in a position to repay, okay, they are not in a position to repay the loan. So there will be another entity which is known as bad bank, and that particular entity is going to purchase all these non-performing assets from the bank. So that these banks have their things clear. These banks have their, books clear. These banks have their books clear, and those banks that are purchasing the non-performing assets of these banks, they are known as bad banks, and then they will try to negotiate with the borrowers. They will try to negotiate with the borrowers in a manner, okay, in a manner so that, okay, in a manner so that they can get some repayment from the thing, from the consumers, okay. So the chart 1 over here, it shows gross NPAs and net NPAs continued to decline, okay. So here the data shows from March 2015 to March 2023, okay. So every year from 15 to 23 there are 8 years, so they have given 8 years data. So what has happened, if we see gross NPA, if we see net NPA, so they have declined, okay, they have declined if you see this particular graph. And second chart, if you see the second chart, it shows the return on assets. Okay, it shows return on assets and capital to risk weighted asset ratio. Okay, return on asset is calculated by dividing the net income of banks by its total assets. Okay, so there is another concept that we are going to discuss about. It is known as this concept is known as return on assets. Okay, what is return on asset? This is net profit of the banks divided by total assets of the bank. Okay, in general, net profit of the bank divided by total asset of the bank. So like this particular graph showcases return on asset, okay, and capital to risk weighted assets ratio. So if we see return on asset, like return on asset has gone up from March 2015 to March 2023, means like in the 8 years the return on asset has gone up. It has slightly gone down during the pandemic time, because during pandemic people were unable to repay for the loans that they have taken. Now the return on asset means the profitability of the bank, the profit making capacity of the bank. It has gone up, okay, and capital to risk weighted asset ratio has also gone up for the bank. So the author says this is a healthy trend. And apart from this, if I talk about chart 3, it illustrates the ratio of write-offs to GNPAs, which had been on a consistent downward trend during 2020-21, 21 to 22, and only on rise to 22 to 23. Means like they have just compared the write-offs to NPA. Write-off means like let's say like there is a bank A, it has this much amount that is NPA, non-performing asset, and how much of this portion they have written off. Okay, so this is shown through this particular chart here. Like the chart has been compiled in a manner so that like initially they have taken the public sector banks, then they have taken private sector banks, and they have clubbed both the thing to cover all the scheduled commercial banks. Okay, so scheduled commercial banks are divided into public sector bank and private sector banks. Okay, so this data showcases that thing. Then chart 4 talks about the GNPA ratio of personal loans by category. Okay, means like earlier what banks were doing, earlier banks preferred to give loans to corporations, to big companies, because these companies have the capacity of repayment. Okay, so they were not preferring to give personal loans to people. But now these banks, like the public sector banks, private sector banks, they have adopted a methodology. Now they prefer more giving personal loans, like giving loans to individuals. For example, housing loans, credit card receivables, vehicle auto loans, education loans, etc. So these banks, so the author says that one of the attribute of, let's say like record low of bad loans, because now banks are not extending huge amount of loan to corporates. Now they prefer to give that loan to individuals. Okay, so that can be one of the reason of, let's say like reducing the bad loans burden from the banks, right? So with this, like we'll take another topic. This topic is again very important. Okay, so we are going to discuss this topic in detail. It says amend personal laws to ensure gender justice. Okay, amend personal laws to ensure gender justice. You might be knowing that the central government is pushing towards having a uniform civil code for India. As you know, uniform civil code is a part of directive principles of state policy. It's a part of DPSP under Article 44, right? So the uniform civil code talks about having uniform laws that regulate, like uniform laws for, let's say, marriage, divorce, inheritance, and let's say for example, if you want to adopt something, so these are the things, adopt someone, so these are the things like that will be regulated through uniform civil code. So government of India, central government wants to let's say implement the uniform civil code. However, this uniform civil code has certain provisions that are being opposed by many people, because this uniform civil code tries to bring uniformity in the way marriages are done, in the way, let's say like for example, the laws related to inheritance, the laws related to divorce, marriage, etc. So different communities, different religious communities have their own personal laws that regulate these affairs. For example, if you talk about Muslim personal law, they have their own laws related to marriage, divorce, kind of marriage. For example, we do have polyandry, polygamy, there are different types of marriages, but the Muslim personal law allows for polygamy, right? And other laws, let's say apart from Muslim personal law, other law also allows for polyandry. It means like a single woman is marrying more than one man. Polygamy means one man marrying more than one woman, that is polygamy. And also, so the uniform civil code wants to bring uniformity. However, if we talk about reality of India, we do have diversity. We do have diversity in different regions, diversity in the nature of, let's say, the personal practices that are being done by people are located at different places. So there are different types of diversity: linguistic diversity, geographical diversity, societal diversity, economic diversity. We do have huge many types of diversity. If we talk about societal diversity, that includes, let's say, diversity in the way that people are marrying, in the way the personal laws are being managed. Okay, so the government wants to bring the uniform civil code. However, the activists are saying that instead of bringing uniform civil code, to rectify some of the societal problems, what government should do is government should allow these religious communities, these religious communities to themselves improve upon their personal laws. Okay, so here they have suggested that women right activists across religious and political spectrum are unanimous. I mean, the women rights activists are unanimous that the reform should come from the personal laws itself, right? It should not be imposed from top down. It should be, let's say, reform should come from the personal laws itself. And this can help address the women's cause better than any uniform civil code. Okay, ideally I would have liked codified Muslim family law as opposed to UCC. All the affirmative rights of the Quran should translate. I mean, this is the view of the people. So in this article they have talked about that, for example, if I talk about bringing uniform civil code, it will have it will bring same laws for all religious things, but every religion has their own preference. The Muslim personal law, they allow for nikah halala, they allow for, let's say, polygamy in certain cases. This is regulated by the Muslim personal law. And similarly, if we talk about Christianity, only marriage and divorce are governed. In Christianity, only marriage or divorce are governed by the church, and apart from this, all other things are regulated through the laws, rules that are in place in the country, right? But in Muslims, not only marriage and divorce, but also inheritance related things are also regulated. Similarly, in Hinduism also, we do have Hindu undivided family that talks about, let's say, giving the property rights to the son, and the eldest son of the house, he has more rights as compared to any other people. And if we talk about the northeastern part, let's say, we do have certain communities where they have matrilineal society, where the property rights goes to the younger daughters, because those younger daughters will have to take care of their parents. Okay, they have to take care of their parents. Okay, so this is practiced in Khasi matrilineal society. So in this article, the author, the author wants to highlight that that across religious spectrum, across political spectrum, almost all women political activists, they are proposing one idea, that these reforms should come from the personal laws itself. It should not be implemented through a uniform civil code. So this was the message through this article. So with this, we will take another topic for discussion in detail. Okay, so this is another article that we are going to discuss. It says, report highlights impact of pandemic on education. Okay, pandemic means we are referring to COVID-19. So COVID-19 has had an impact in the year of 2020 to 21, and even after that 21, 22, like again like we had impact of COVID-19, right? So recently a report has been released by the Ministry of Education, and the name of the report is Performance Grading Index for Districts. Okay, so they have released Performance Grading Index for Districts, and this Performance Grading Index, what it tries to do, it tries to grade different districts according to the according to the performance that they have done on education. Okay, different districts have performed differently in education. So like Ministry of Education has released the Performance Grading Index to rank different districts in India, how well they performed in education. Okay, so they have checked the data of 2020 to 21 and 2021 to 22. Okay, they have checked these 2 years data, and according to that data, like they have come out with this thing that none of these districts have scored the top 2 ranks. The top 2 ranks means like above 90 or 81 to 90 thing, like none of the districts have like achieved this particular thing. The 90 above 90 is also known as Daksh. Okay, it is known as Daksh, and 81 to 90 is known as Ati Uttam. Okay, so none of these districts have received Daksh or Ati Uttam. And apart from this, all these different categories, means like up to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, I mean like they have been named differently, right? So all these names are mentioned over here. Daksh is the highest category, then Ati Uttam, followed by Uttam, then like Prachesta 1, Prachesta 2, Prachesta 3, then Akanshi 1 and Akanshi 2. Okay, and Akanshi 3. Akanshi 3 is the last one. Okay, so none of the districts are in the last one also, and none of the districts are in top 2 as well. Okay, so this is the let's say comparison of data between number of districts in 2020 21 to 2021-22. Okay, so this is the comparison of the districts in that regard. So you need to read this particular thing to understand about the Performance Grading Index. It is released by Ministry of Education. Okay, so they have talked about like how how these different states and districts have performed in this regard, and they have given name of certain districts also. So now with this we will take another topic. This is the last topic for the day, and it is a very important article. It says Modi's ruble wise rupee foolish policy. Okay, so I mean like the author has written it very critically. I mean like the name of the article, the heading of the article is very critical because the author belongs to one particular political party. Okay, he belongs to Congress party, but he has written about Modi government, so they will naturally be criticizing. So we are going to understand about it, but the points that they have written in the article are worth noting. This is a very important article. So now we need to understand that in this article the author has talked about one thing. Okay. So let's discuss about this article, ruble wise rupee foolish. Okay, Modi's so we are going to understand about this particular topic, like ruble wise rupee foolish policy. So what has happened, the author has talked about like one important incident, that is Russia-Ukraine war. He has talked about Russia-Ukraine war. Since Russia-Ukraine war has been happening, so Russia has been let's say sanctioned. Russia has been sanctioned by United States of America. Since Russia has been put on sanction by United States of America, so Russian government is not able to do any kind of trade activity in dollar, okay, which is like US dollar. So it is not able to do trade activity with US dollar. So whenever it is doing trade with other countries, what it is doing, it is accepting like foreign currency through different like channels. So government of India, I mean like under Modi government, what they have accepted, during this particular time, like USA was pressurizing different countries. USA was pressurizing different countries not to import anything or not to do trade with Russia. However, India continued to do trade with Russia, okay, and India has imported oil, okay. India has imported huge amount of oil, okay, huge amount of oil from Russia. And so since we have imported huge amount of oil, we need to make payment also to Russia. And government of India has accepted to make the payment to Russia through Chinese, okay, Chinese yuan, okay. So government of India has accepted to make the payment to Russia through Chinese yuan. But this should not be accepted, because like since the entire world was doing trade in dollar, so dollar was getting strengthened and recognition of dollar increased. But during COVID-19 and and before that also, government of India has taken certain steps. For example, the government of India has gone for demonetization, and because of demonetization, I mean like the perception about let's say like stability of Indian rupee, perception about stability of Indian rupee in the market has gone down. So because of which, I mean like people in international market do not prefer to do trade with India through INR, and generally the trade has been happening through US dollar. And like if government of India accepts doing like foreign exchange, I mean like payment to Russia through Chinese yuan, what it is going to do, it is going to strengthen, okay, it is going to strengthen Chinese yuan. That India should not actually do, okay. India should not promote like growth of Chinese yuan. So here the author is highlighting that like this was a like mistake that was done by India. It should have followed some other like route. And since India has already made payment to Russia through Chinese yuan, so Chinese government will also like that like payment to China should be made through Chinese yuan itself, okay. So like that will bolster or boost Chinese economy, and like this is not a right step. So this is what is suggested by the author in this article. So it says like during the COVID-19 what has happened, that like the government of India has imported huge amount of, just a minute, okay. So government of India imported huge amount of oil, okay. We have imported huge amount of oil from Russia, okay, imported like oil from Russia. But that imported oil, 50% of those oil was given to two companies. One is Reliance Industries and there is another country, okay. And that time we have imported oil from Russia at a very cheaper cost. But that cheaper cost of oil has not translated to the common man, because for common man the price of oil, price of let's say energy was continuously going up. The common man has not benefited out of it. Who have benefited? The benefit reached to the let's say like companies like Reliance and the other company that the author has mentioned in the article. So author said that like the LPG, like it has benefited Reliance Industries and Naira Energy, okay. So there are two companies like Reliance Industries and Naira Energy. So these two companies like received 50% of the imported oil and LPG from Russia. So that's why this was not any way benefiting to the common man. So that's all. I mean like you need to understand about this thing. So that's why the author has said that ruble wise rupee foolish policy of the Modi government, okay. So that's all in this article. Thank you so much everyone for watching this discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.